Welcome to today's episode of You're My Best Friend. I'm Moxy. Recently, Los Angeles has been facing devastating wildfires that have affected thousands of lives, homes, and entire communities. It's a tragedy that is leaving many of us feeling helpless and overwhelmed. We both personally know multiple people who have been directly impacted by this and are feeling the heartbreak ourselves. As we get into this week's...
Can I cut us off here?
Yeah.
Because this is not us. This is corporate speaking. This is the sponsor speaking. But
we don't even have sponsors. Don't you want sponsors? This is what we have to do. We want sponsors.
Listen, I think it's important for us to be honest and authentic with what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And I know I'm not going to say that joke.
Please don't. Whatever it was, I'm scared.
If I'm stopping myself from saying a joke.
Yeah, it's bad.
It was crossing a line.
Yeah.
I just want to start off before we jump into the nonsense, even though it's kind of already started.
You started the nonsense.
I did start the nonsense. If I was bred, I'd be nonsense. That was terrible.
That was so bad.
My future dad card just got...
Why would you do that?
I don't know. Before we jump into the full nonsense of what we're going to be talking about, I've been seeing a lot of stuff online regarding content creators and podcasts, and a lot of people just asking, like, why are they still creating content, or announce that they're not going to be creating content for a little bit while people kind of reorient with...
Yeah, people are canceling shows and canceling concerts. And...
some of it makes some sense.
Yes.
Like if you have a show in LA, like I totally understand.
Yeah, cancel your show in Hollywood if the Hollywood fire is still going.
Yeah. Or if it's an outdoor event, like cancel. Like the fact that motocross went on as an outdoor event with the air quality that was going on.
Oh, I did not know that. That's not good.
To me, it just doesn't seem sensical. So I'm going to trigger warning here. This as LA gets readjusted to like a new normal,
after the old new normal.
I think it's just important for people to have a glimmer of hopefully a laugh or two, and hopefully something that can distract them from what's going on. And so while Moxy had our legal team,
I had a prepared statement that I wrote. I put work into that. I did not in any way use AI. Okay, I did actually write most of it. I didn't know how to start, so I used AI and then I wrote the rest of it. Yeah.
And so we do have friends that have been affected by this.
We have a lot of friends who've been affected. Yeah.
And thankfully some of our closest friends have moved away from the areas that are affected, so like it makes it a little bit easier to do this. But in no sense are we taking light what's going on in LA. In no sense are we minimizing the impact of the fires. In no way, shape, or form. Our jobs here is to give people hopefully an outlet that isn't doom scrolling, isn't just news outlets talking about how many lives have been lost and how many homes have been lost and how many people have been displaced. And if you are displaced or worried about being displaced or having to evacuate and that stuff, we're going to link some resources in the description of this podcast. I will also say that we don't make a lot of money off this podcast, but if we do make any money off of this episode, like 25 cents here and there.
Wow.
But if for whatever reason, if this podcast episode happens to blow up, I'm going to make a personal guarantee to donate it to the Red Cross. Or an organization that is helping with the relief efforts.
Yeah, there are so many.
Yeah.
There are so many, and there's so many amazing resources right now. And the incredible thing, I don't want to go too far off on a tangent about this, but I feel so strongly.
Too late.
The incredible thing about this is that the donation centers are overwhelmed with donations. They are overwhelmed with volunteers. I went out to try and volunteer today, and I went to one place, got turned away that they had too many people. I looked at about 8 other places before I found the place that I actually went to volunteer. And they were all like, we have too many volunteers today. Don't come here. So, I mean, LA is really coming out to support the people who have lost everything this week. And part of me feels like we should be doing an entire podcast just about this.
Yeah.
But we do not have the breadth of knowledge and resources that maybe it's imposter syndrome, but I don't personally think I know enough about air quality, about burn patterns, about dropping water from the sky and fire trucks and all that stuff. Like, I don't feel qualified.
The most I know about fire trucks is they go wee woo wee woo,
They don't
and then
do
you go.
No, but like, I would love to do a whole podcast about it, but I don't feel qualified. So instead, what we are qualified to do is add some humor to the situation. And
even then, I don't know for that.
I don't even know if we're fully qualified for that. But I do think, and like so many people have told me this week, you know, if you're laughing, that means you're not crying. And you need to have something to do and something to listen to and something to bring your attention away from the loss. And so that's our goal for this week.
And if it's us, if this is all you have left, we're so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Like, it's the bottom of the barrel. But did you watch last week's episode?
Ultimately, though, our intention is just to have a fun conversation that will hopefully prove to be a good distraction for anything that you're experiencing.
I like how you go back to the parent statement.
Well, I wrote that. I want to use it.
And with that, we are going to cut to our intro. And, well, this is actually, we don't even need an intro. We can just jump.
No, let's cut to the intro.
Okay, we're going to cut to the intro. And we're going to reuse this exact same intro every week until the fires are done.
Perfect.
This entire 8-minute segment.
Awesome.
Is going to be
awesome.
In future episodes, just cut to 8 minutes and 41 seconds.
Watch, you just forget to take it out completely. It's in the next 2 years.
All right, so we are doing another episode.
Is this our intro?
This is the cold open.
Okay.
Did you forget how we do podcasts?
Yes, I did, actually.
What is going on with you these days?
I got 3 hours of sleep last night.
So did I.
Well, that's normal for you. That's not normal for me anymore.
I thought you were music. Oh, anymore. Okay. All right, let's try this again.
My body breaks down now.
Same. I'm old. I'm excited to be back. Did you know that we had an incredible response to our podcast last week?
Did we really?
Yeah. Nobody talked about it.
Really?
But we had over 200 downloads.
Dang. Well, one person talked about it.
Yes. A good old faithful Sebastian.
Maybe that's not the nickname we want to have for Sebastian.
Good old faithful. What nickname do you want to have for Sebastian?
I don't know. He's really cool, but good old faithful sounds like a dog in a movie.
You talking about Old Yeller?
Yes,
that's a horse.
That's what I'm talking about. That's a horse?
Right? Lauren,
she's
is Old Yeller a horse or a dog? Oh, yeah, okay.
I thought Old Yeller was a geyser.
No, I think that is Old Faithful. Old Glory?
Oh. This is breaking down.
Who are you calling a whore? Oh my God.
This is breaking down so fast.
Oh God. Anyway,
we love you, Sebastian, and we're coming up with a better nickname.
Old Faithful Sebastian. That's what we're going with.
That makes him sound like a butler. Oh yes, Old Faithful Sebastian.
We should call him Jeffrey if that's the case with the G.
Jeffrey? No.
If he's gonna be a butler.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm excited to be back this week. Was there anything from last week's episode that you wanted to discuss?
So much.
Honestly, I have no plans with this cold open.
You never do.
I never do.
No.
At least I know what we're talking about this week.
That's good.
Yeah.
You forgot last week.
I didn't forget. We just didn't game plan.
Right.
We didn't game plan this week.
We didn't do that this time either. So.
Anyway.
Here we go.
3, 2, 1. Here we go.
How do you say here we go?
That makes no sense if I don't say it in Spanish.
No.
Anyway, I got to use that intro now because that way hopefully someone will get it. Is there anything that you want to talk about from last week?
There is, but I have a feeling it's going to come up later in the season, so probably not.
Oh, now I'm curious.
No, just more relationship dynamics.
Okay.
I'll probably end up talking about it today.
I will say that people have agreed with both of us on the sense of staying in contact. So it's been about a 50-50 split. So if you have any comments on whether or not you should be friends with your exes or stay in contact with them, let us know in the comments below because we are curious to hear from you because really that's the only way we know if you're actually listening to this or not.
Yeah, basically.
So
that's honestly it.
And later on in the episode, there's going to be a random code word. You'll know what the code word is. If you pick up on it, I will send you $100 Monopoly. Monopoly?
A
Monopoly, $100 bill from Monopoly.
Okay.
I will send it. I'll send them a picture of it because I don't want to pay for postage.
This is getting worse and worse.
That'd be a good place for us to cut for the
Not
intro.
a good deal. Yeah.
Okay.
The following is a podcast about life.
Apparently,
I can't not listen to music.
Friendship and tacos.
let me tell you this, dropping a taco is a national emergency.
This is You're My Best Friend. Now here are your hosts, Moxy and Ruben Jay.
Welcome to You're My Best Friend, a podcast about, well,
Monopoly money, apparently.
Life, friendships, tacos.
Are you reading?
Yes, I have my notes right here.
Okay.
It's a teleprompter.
It's the slowest teleprompter in the world.
It works for Joe Biden. That's appropriate. My name is Ruben Jay.
And I'm Moxy Ann.
And this week we are, well, I mean, I guess technically this joke would have made sense if we would have done the intro that we originally planned for this episode. So now I understand why you're confused.
Yeah.
A whole 25 minutes later.
Also, that entire thing that you just looked down and did, it looks like you're reading a teleprompter. It looks like you are. And I just really need to point out that you're not, but I don't know how you accomplish that.
If the court reporter will weed back my comments.
Weed back?
That's a callback.
Oh my gosh.
Oh God.
Gosh. Anyway.
So LA's on fire.
Yeah.
We once so, just want to start out by saying we hope that anybody who is in LA or in the surrounding areas or know anybody that's in there is safe and sound.
Yes.
But speaking of the world burning, we are 5 days away from Donald Trump being re-inaugurated as president of the United States.
Maybe we should keep talking about LA.
Well, I think that's less polarizing than what we're going to talk about.
Probably.
And so we, and by we I mean me, thought it would be
Keep talking.
a good idea. Sorry, the lights flinched.
Flinched?
Yeah, I scared him apparently.
Yeah.
We thought it'd be a good idea to talk about the second term of Donald Trump being president after 4 years of Joe Biden, and really more importantly, talking about the importance of looking forward, because I think we can get caught up in the now, the what ifs, the but he's Hitler, but he's God, all these different things that the extremes like to throw out there. And I just want to start by saying that while I understand why so many people are, I don't know why I keep looking at this.
Yeah,
this,
stop looking at the iPad.
Some sort of comfort of seeing my voice being recorded.
Oh my gosh.
I know that there's a lot of people out there who are genuinely afraid of what Trump 2.0 might bring. And there are a lot of people who are so nonchalant about what Trump 2.0 might bring. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. And so I just want to take a minute and have everyone just pause, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Hold it. And exhale.
This is going to play really well for an audio audience.
And exhale. Trump is only going to be here for 4 years.
Yes.
There's enough of a resistance that the extreme things that you may believe that he might do will not happen.
Yeah.
He has enough of a consensus that some of the more moderate stuff that he wants to do will happen. For example, the Panama Canal is not going to become the American Canal.
That is so friggin' stupid. Yeah.
The Gulf of Mexico will remain the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
Mainly because the Gulf of America sounds stupid.
That sounds so friggin' dumb.
The American Gulf would be much better.
No, that just sounds like the Persian Gulf.
But also, I think he's thinking that the Gulf is like a golf course. Like
yeah,
a golf course,
that would make more
sense.
sense. You're so right, yeah.
The only thing that I hope that Donald Trump does that he's been saying in the last couple of weeks is I hope he makes Canada the 51st state of the United States.
He's been saying that?
Yes. That's why Trudeau resigned.
Is he okay?
Listen, I honestly, I think, in the words of Sabrina Carpenter, His give a Fs are on vacation.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like, so that's the big thing. And we're not going to talk about policies. We're not going to talk about any of that stuff. I know we have a specific angle that we want to try to take on this, but I do just want to start out by saying, just take a breath. Inhale, relax. Unless you're in LA, don't inhale.
No, wear a mask.
Wear a mask. Be safe.
Yes.
It's 4 years.
Yeah.
We survived Trump 1.0, which started out a very similar way with control of the House and the Senate. The only difference is that he has the Supreme Court, quote unquote, but even there's enough of resistance that he's not going to get his way. I mean, you have 3 liberal judges and John Roberts, who kind of plays both sides of the coin. And Neil Gorsuch has gone against Trump's wishes plenty of times. I don't think the extremes of what we think is going to happen is going to happen. I just really don't.
I'm fairly positive it's not. And yeah. I think that Trump is, I'm gonna piss some people off with this. I think Trump is not as bad as some people think that he is. I'm not saying he's good. I'm not saying he's a good person. I'm not saying that he is fit to be president, or that someone who has been a convicted felon is fit to be president, or I'm not making a statement here. What I am saying is that people are either acting like Trump is the second coming of Christ,
or the second coming of Hitler.
Or the second coming of Hitler. And I don't think he is either. I think he's a person. People did the same thing about Joe Biden. Like, people did the exact same thing about Joe Biden. And what did we get? Someone eating ice cream for 4 years. So, policies change and time changes things. And yes, there will be developments that people don't like in the upcoming administration. Thank you. I was going to say election. I'm like,
if you read the teleprompter.
Hey, real quick, wanted to jump in here and just invite you, if you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, subscribe button, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, hit the notification bell. But if you are listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and you like to consider yourself, if you'd like to consider yourself a supporter of what Moxy and I do, make sure to head over to YouTube. That's really where the bulk of our income comes from on this podcast. And so if you want to support us, that's the best way to do so, other than following us on our Instagrams and social media. Moxy's at Moxy and Music. I'm at the Ruben Jay. This is probably the most low rent commercial you're ever going to hear or watch on this podcast. So make sure you support us if you want. If not, keep doing what you're doing, and we appreciate you either way.
No, but there will be things that people don't like in the upcoming administration. There were things that people didn't like in the last administration. Did your life really change that much? Like, practically speaking, did you have to go to war?
Almost.
Did you have to go to war?
Listen, they're not going to take me, even if they drew my name, they would just take one look at me and be like, nope.
I do have to say, I thought this the other day because I was reading a post about how the previous generation ruined the economy and they got all the houses and we have nothing. Yeah, but they all got drafted and half of them died in Vietnam. So, like,
which is why they were able to afford the houses. Because half the people were gone.
Yeah, like, we don't have houses and student loan debt's horrible and the economy's trash, but, like, we didn't have to go to war. So there's that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a tangent. But next time you're getting upset about the economy, think about it that way.
Right. Eggs are $19 a dozen, but at least I don't have to go to war.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know how to use a gun, so
right.
Anyway, I think that what I'm trying to say with all of this is nothing about policy or anything, because I have my own opinions about this. But what I am saying is that I think the media has done an incredibly good job of pitting us against each other in the last 10 years, and they have done such a good job that we are unwilling to speak to people who believe differently than us now. And that is horrible to me. That is not how I was raised. That's not how a lot of people were raised. That is what people think is acceptable now in this world. And it's not okay. And, I had a teacher point out years ago, she read a list of the last several presidents. Do you know, like, I'm going to read the list. I'm going to do what she did.
Okay.
So, you've got Biden, and then you've got Trump. You've got Obama, and then you've got Bush. You've got Clinton. You've got another Bush. You've got Ronald Reagan. You've got Jimmy Carter. You've got...
Which, rest in peace.
Yeah, I know.
To the second worst president ever.
You've got Gerald Ford. You've got Richard Nixon. No one in our lifetime and we know a lot of people who've been alive for all of those elections. I can almost guarantee there is not a single person who voted for every one of those candidates.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. This is how it works. Your guy wins one year, he doesn't win the next year. And it goes back and forth and back and forth, and that's what makes America so beautiful.
My guy has lost more times than they've won.
Who is your guy?
Well, I'm talking about the people I vote for.
Is it Hulk Hogan?
Oh, God, not anymore.
Hulk?
Let me tell you something, brother.
The Incredible... Is that the Incredible Hulk?
No. He'll get sued for that one. The Incredible Hulk is green. Hulk Hogan is yellow.
Oh, like Cynthia Erivo.
Not Asian.
What?
Nothing.
I'm confused.
Oh, God.
Is Hulk a Marvel movie?
There is the Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
And then there is Hulk Hogan, the professional wrestler.
How are they different?
One's a real person and the other one is a wrestler.
Which one is which?
They're both the same person. Hulk Hogan is a professional wrestler. The Incredible Hulk is a cartoon character.
Hulk Hogan?
Wrestler.
Okay.
Incredible.
Okay.
Cartoon.
He's a cartoon.
Or comic. Comic strip.
Okay. By the way, one of my New Year's resolutions this year is to watch all the Marvel movies.
All of them?
Yeah.
Every single one of them?
Yeah.
That's a lot of movies.
I have a year.
How many have you watched?
None.
We're 14 to 15 days in already.
Yeah. Well, I've seen the Avengers, but, not in 10 years.
Okay.
So.
Anyway.
3 hours of sleep, everybody. This is what you get. I'm so sorry. Back to politics.
Yes. Things I never thought we'd say on this podcast.
Yeah.
Did you lose your train of thought?
No, I just, going back to the list of presidents and the way that it flip-flops so much, you're going to see the exact same thing happen next election. You're going to see the same thing happen in Congress. You're going to see the same thing happen on the Supreme Court. And that is, I think, the beauty of the system. With as many issues as this system has and systemic issues that this system has, I think that it does naturally even itself out over time.
Well, the founding fathers. Am I having a stroke?
Fathers.
The founding fathers were pretty smart.
Not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah, I mean, not the ones who were sleeping around and getting syphilis, but they designed a system that is built for gridlock, which a lot of people are like, why can't things just happen quickly? Because that's how dictatorships happen. That's how poor policy is made. Mm-hmm. You need to have debate. You need to have common ground and negotiations and all this stuff. What the hard part is that the debate is getting, well, actually, I'm not even sure about that. I think, like, if you think about, Alexander Hamilton and the stuff that, like, I feel like if they had Twitter,
oh, Twitter would be popping off right now.
Like, all the time.
Yeah, no.
And,
they did have Twitter. They had their letters that they wrote back and forth, which we have.
Yeah, and so it's like, we know that, like, the polarization has always been there because people are so deeply convicted on what they believe in, which I love that about this country.
Yes, I love that.
I think that's an incredible thing. I wish that our Congress was a little bit more like Canada and like UK, where they're just yelling at each other the whole time.
That would be
like,
so
have
funny.
you seen those videos of like the guy who's running for prime minister of Canada, and he just like straight up calls Justin Trudeau like beautifully ugly or beautifully stupid? Like, it's just hilarious. Our people just talk about their badly butch built body. I don't know if you saw that clip.
That was
it's so catty.
That was like the worst diss ever.
I know.
Come up with something better, dude.
I know. But the polarization's always been there. It's up to the people to vote the people into offices that can hopefully represent your positions the best way possible. All of this to say that there's going to be life after Trump. Yeah. Like, he's not, realistically speaking, and there's no surprise that I voted for Donald Trump, that I believe in a lot of what he says. I also call him out when he says stupid stuff, which is quite often, to be honest. Like I said, he's not like. I hope we take over Greenland because I would like to visit there some point. Have you not heard that?
What?
He wants to take over Greenland.
Has he been to Greenland? Because he would not want to take over Greenland if he had been to Greenland.
He wants to build a big, beautiful military base
in Greenland.
In Greenland, actually, there is some like support saying that we should be able to control Greenland, or that it would make it would make sense from a national security standpoint for us to control Greenland. Bless you.
I mean, I went to Greenland. We don't want Greenland.
He does, and there's reasons for it. He sent Donald Trump Jr. to go talk to the delegates.
It's up to the delegates.
It's an inside joke, people. So he says a lot of stupid things. All of it, I think at the end of the day for him, he's a transactional person.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. Like, you've seen him go from like, we're not going to do this, to the minute somebody who is on favor of whatever we're not going to do starts calling him smart and wonderful, he goes, oh yeah, we're going to do this thing.
Yeah.
He's transactional.
Well, and that's not unique to Trump. That's just politicians.
Yes, but I think what's unique to Trump is that he's so overtly transactional.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't take much to get him to shift his opinions.
No.
And realistically, all it really takes is Mr. President. Like, Howard Stern was really good friends with Trump pre-2016. And if you go back and listen to his interviews with Trump for like the 20 years that Trump has been famous before he even ran for president, Howard Stern would refer to Trump as Mr. President. And apparently that was Howard's way of like greasing the wheel a little bit to get a really good interview out of Trump.
That's funny.
By calling him Mr. President. I'm sure he regrets it now.
Yeah.
Because now he actually has to call him Mr. President. But.
Yeah. I think that there is so much more room for maturity in our society than what is currently there. And I live in a interesting industry because half of my industry talks openly about politics and half of my industry doesn't. And I do not talk about politics because the easiest way to lose a gig is to piss someone off.
Yeah.
So I don't talk about politics. I mean, I'll talk to you and I'll agree with you if you're talking about politics, but I'm not going to go out there and tell you who I voted for, because that's the easiest way, depending on who you're working with. Like, I mean, granted, who I voted for probably wouldn't piss that many people off, but like, I don't go out there and tell people.
Did you vote for Jill Stein?
No. I don't go out there and talk to people about politics. We live in a world now where I think people know too much about each other, and they share too much. And on one hand, it makes me really happy because I did grow up deeply invested in politics. My mom was a political science major in college. She taught us that sports don't matter, celebrities don't matter, like pop culture doesn't matter. Politics matter because it's going to directly impact your life. And so politics for us was our Super Bowl. And I grew up deeply caring about politics. And I was a literal 9-year-old arguing with adults on the internet about the election. And they were all like, why do you care about this so much? You need to just be a kid. Stop talking about politics. And that pissed me off. And so now I'm like, I feel like that's actually the norm now, is that kids care about politics and they care about policy and they care about social justice, which is amazing. And I wish I had seen that more when I was a kid. But I also think that you can care deeply about it and you can take to the streets and you can make change, and you can also be friends with people you don't agree with. And those things are all compatible at the same time. Like, you can do all of those things at the same time.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not a black and white world.
100%. I have friends who will remain nameless because I don't know if they would appreciate me name dropping them, but they vehemently disagree with my political standings.
Yeah.
And we, pre-COVID, we worked in the same office, and we'd literally be sitting across the table from each other having a conversation about, you know, how Hillary should have won and how Trump is this, and, you know, what I thought Trump was doing right. And we'd start having these heated conversations, and then we'd pause and be like, wait, weren't we ordering dinner?
Like, we should probably order dinner and like finish this conversation later. And about, are you paying this week or am I paying this week? Like, what are we doing here? You know, and to this day, that friendship has survived Trump winning an election, Trump losing an election, Trump winning another election. And the friendship always comes back to things we actually care about. You know, because at the end of the day, I don't care if you voted for Joe Biden. I don't care if you voted for Jill Stein. I don't care if you voted for Donald Trump. I don't care if you would have rather voted for Ron DeSantis. I don't care if you didn't vote at all.
I care if you didn't vote at all.
I mean, I care that you didn't vote at all, but like, I'm not going to stop talking to you over any of those decisions.
Yeah. I'm just going to be like, hey, you should have voted. Do that next time.
Yeah. But I'd rather you not vote if you don't know what you're talking about or what you believe in, than you like. I'd rather you sit out an election that you have no information about, because at least at that point you're not just making an uninformed decision. Yeah. Because elections do have consequences. As much as we want to say that things are going to be okay, there are still going to be consequences to the election. Yeah. But the other big thing is, I don't think you should cut people off. You know, because I think at the end of the day, as an example, this friend lost their job not too long ago. And the people who showed up for them were everyone from their walk of life, different political views, different religious views, all that stuff. Because at the end of the day, like, we all still need each other. Yeah. Like, it's not, and I think that's one of the biggest fundamental, like, changes in the last 50 years is that, like, people look to the government to solve problems versus looking to your neighbors to help find short-term solutions until you're back on your feet.
Yeah. The weirdest thought that I had yesterday about the Los Angeles fires is that, well, this is a really effective way for everybody to meet their neighbors finally. Right. Like, I feel like a lot of people do not know their neighbors now. Yeah. I don't know my neighbors. I know one of my neighbors, and I'm kind of content with that. And I don't like that about myself.
I know my neighbors.
Yeah? Yeah. You're the one guy?
Yeah. My landlord. It's interesting, too, because we're seeing people from all walks of life coming together in this industry. And it's like, I have not heard one person say, oh, if you voted for Trump, I don't want your help.
That is true. I have heard people say things like that, but not that.
Yeah, but I also, like, people are concerned that Trump's going to come in and, like, cut funding for stuff like this. Yeah. You know, but I also, I know a lot of people are like blaming Gavin Newsom and some of the liberal leadership, which is, I don't know if it's accurate or not, but at least that makes more sense. It's more of a local issue. Yeah. But I also haven't heard anybody say, oh, because you voted for Joe Biden, we're not going to help you either, you know? And so that's one of the things I'm like, I'm happy about that. Like, yeah, it's being politicized by policies and stuff, but at least the aid and like the frontline stuff isn't being discriminated based off of like, if you voted the same way I voted, because I don't care. Yeah. If you voted for Joe Biden and you come to me and say, bro, I lost my house, you know, can I have a sandwich? Like, absolutely. Let's go to Subway and I'll buy you a sandwich, or I'll make you one if I have the ingredients on me. But I don't carry mayonnaise in my car, which I know you have something that you. Oh, that was the last episode, wasn't it? Whoops.
No, we haven't talked about that actually.
Oh, okay.
No, but I. There's a girl who I went to school with, and I'm not going to drop her name because that's weird, but we've disagreed on a couple of issues. And back in the day when I was at school, we went for coffee and we ended up sitting there for like 3 hours. And we disagreed then.
Do I know this person?
No, I don't think you do. Maybe you do.
Text me the name.
Okay. We disagreed on a couple of things, and we kept in contact. And afterwards, we've disagreed on several more things. And we've sent each other long Instagram messages back and forth. And some of them we've talked about and some of them we haven't. And she and her partner started volunteering at a place in Pasadena. And I saw that and I said, hey, I would love to go and volunteer there. And we've been chatting back and forth and sharing like, oh, this is where I went today because that place was closed. Do you need protection? Like, I wear like safety goggles because her girlfriend got hit in the eye with something today. Yeah. They've been cleaning up the streets in Pasadena. It is rough up there. Yeah. Have you been up there?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I might be going up there this week though.
There's tree branches everywhere. Yeah. But it's stuff like that. And it's like, you know, whenever we talk, I'm like, yeah, we disagree on a couple of things, but she's still a person. I still care about her. I still want her to be happy. I do not care who you voted for. I care about you. And I think that when large scale tragedies happen, it's very easy for people to remember that they're human.
Yeah.
And I want us to hang on to that.
But it shouldn't be long. It shouldn't be large scale. Like,
no.
It should be a thing that, like, if you run out of gas or your tire like pops on the freeway, and you call me and you voted against what I voted for, I shouldn't sit there and be like, oh, well, you voted for Trump, so I'm not going to come give you some gasoline.
Yeah.
You know, like, no, it should be like, hey, I'm absolutely am here and willing and able to help.
Yeah.
And then
there are people online who have been, but none of them are Californian. Yeah. There are people who have been saying, well, Trump threatened to cut this budget, so those people shouldn't get this. And it's like, well, no, you don't live here, number one. And number two, no one is saying that.
Yeah.
Like, in real life, no one's saying that.
What's up, everybody? This is Moxy from You're My Best Friend, a podcast about life, friendship, and tacos. You're watching this, or listening to this, I guess, wherever you're watching it. But have you followed us on any of our other social media platforms? The biggest ones are going to be Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok for as long as TikTok is around, I guess, at Best Friend Podcast. That's going to be the best place to find all of our funny clips from the show, important announcements on what we're doing, and some of our favorite memes when we feel like it. The other place to go is going to be YouTube. That's going to be at Multimedia Mouth. That will be the best place to stream all of our content, full video content from the show, and that's the best way to support us. Thank you so much for watching or listening, and we'll see you around.
Yeah, and then I think the big thing to think about too, so it's hard not to have an opinion on this because we've actually been cut off by quite a few people who we thought we were close to. And by we, I mean my wife and I. I'm not going to dive into details about the actual like arguments. Yeah, I don't know that person.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
It's not even an argument. It's just we've been cut off from a couple of different people who were heavily involved in our wedding over my politics. I'll tell you offline.
Oh, I was going to say, when did I cut you off?
Oh, not that heavily involved. But you did cut me off back in 2021. But we'll talk about that.
That is true.
Time,
yeah.
You know? So,
but we're still here, so
we're still here.
It doesn't really count.
Full circle here.
Yeah.
And it sucks because, first of all, like, it's different if you are like yourself. Like, if it came out that you voted for, you know, a particular party that was Harambe. If you voted, no, he's dead.
You can still vote for him.
I guess so. But let's say it comes out that you literally wrote in Adolf Hitler's name on your ballot.
Yikes.
I probably would cut you off for that one. Actually.
Don't do that.
That's a bad example.
That's a bad take.
The whole point is if it comes out in conversation that you voted for somebody that I don't agree with, and then I cut you off at that point, like, at least it makes some sense that, like, oh, I found out this new piece of information that just doesn't sit well with me. I need some time to process it. We have somebody who was in Lauren's life for years and years and years. And then has known me for the 3.5 years that Lauren and I were dating. And let me tell you, stay in there for now. Let me tell you this. I am not quiet about my politics.
Nope.
I don't care if my opinion hurts your feelings. I am open to discussion. If you hit me up with facts and a counterpoint, I am open to hearing it out. I have changed my mind on a lot of things over the years.
He has. I've forced him to.
Yeah, but at gunpoint. Mainly she's pointing the gun at herself because she doesn't know how to use a gun.
That's not true.
I know.
For any robbers looking to come to my house, that is not true.
She lives at 123 Main Street. In Harambe, California.
Yes, Harambe, California.
So I'm not quiet about my politics. Everyone knows who I was going to vote for. Everyone knows my opinions. And this person decided to go through with being part of our wedding and attempting to get closer to me and stay friends with her. And all of a sudden the election happened and they cut us off completely because we voted for Trump. And
It's so stupid.
And it's like, okay, first of all, like you've known my political opinions since day one.
Yeah.
Like you could have easily said, hey, I love you guys. You know, I wish you guys the best. I will be there in spirit, you know, or I'll be there in person, but I can't invest time and effort into a relationship with somebody who I just don't see eye to eye with. And you could have cut us off then.
It's like if you, this is a really extreme example, but it's like if you met a serial killer who was just completely honest with you all the time.
Yeah.
And they were like, on December 28th, I'm going to kill this guy. And you were like, okay, fine, whatever. And then he kills him and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know, like he told you, you knew, you were there for this. It's not like you sanctioned it, but like you were aware of this and you decided to be friends and like hang out. And now you knew like this, you're so pissed about this thing that you knew about already.
And here's the sad part is I've been dealing with this for 10 years. Like I've been dealing with people who I thought were really good friends of mine, cutting me off based off of my political opinions. So I'm immune to it. And to a certain degree, like it doesn't bother me. But the one thing that whenever those people pop up in my feed and I see like, oh, they got married, or oh, they had a baby, or oh, this, or like we talked about doing this together, now they're doing it, and it's like that's what irks me. And I would like to hope that some of the people who have cut me off in the past couple of years look back and see, oh, he got married finally.
Yeah.
Like I wish I could have been there. You know.
Well, it's kind of how I feel about what we were talking about last week. Because last week we were having the same conversation, but about exes. And my philosophy on exes is, no, it's basically the same as my philosophy on politics. I think you should be mature enough to be able to wish your ex well and have a conversation with them. I think you should be able to be mature enough.
But you shouldn't go out and get coffee with your ex.
Well, okay. It's a case-by-case basis. But I think that you should be able to be mature enough to talk about politics with someone you disagree with. Yeah. And that's not a knowledge thing. You don't have to be a political scholar or theologian to talk about the things that are important to you. And you can
trust me, I am neither.
No, and you can have conversations.
Hey, you said you agreed to that really quick.
But you can have conversations where you go, I don't know, let's Google it together and learn something. But you don't learn anything if you stay in your bubble, you unfollow everyone you disagree with, you block people who argue with you, and you just kind of stay in your own echo chamber. You learn nothing from that. Because guess what? Neither party is exactly right on every single thing.
Yeah. And there's a reason why, if you follow me on Instagram and you go through my followers, you'll see that I follow Trump and I follow Daily Wire and a couple of other things, but you'll see that I also follow Joe Biden and Barack Obama and Gavin Newsom. And part of it's to stay informed, obviously. Yeah. But also so that way I can learn about what the other people are thinking. And there are some stuff that I agree with that they are proposing and talking about. We don't have to talk about the policies, but I also understand that, like, again, it comes back down to it. There's life after Trump. Yeah. And it's going to be a long life after Trump. Trump is not that young. I wouldn't use the word young at all when it comes to Trump. No,
and people saying, I do want to address one thing, because I looked into this when the whole, like, you won't have to worry about voting after this election ever again. When that came out, I was like, what the hell? And then I looked into it. He was saying that because of the Supreme Court justices. He was saying that because he was saying he was going to appoint a Supreme Court justice, and then you won't have to worry about voting because he's going to load the Supreme Court. Not that he's going to make himself king. And it honestly kind of pisses me off when people post that, because I'm like,
and more importantly, he was talking to a very specific group of people. He was talking about evangelical Christians.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah. And I think a lot of it was more on pro-life kind of stances.
That makes sense.
And so he was like, just come out and vote for me. Like, you just need to vote this one time. You won't have to vote again. Yeah. You know, because he believes that he'll be able to
if he installs,
if he's able to fix the system enough that the Christians won't have to come out and vote anymore.
Which is also a major issue. But it's not him saying that he's going to make himself king.
Yeah. But also, like, the other thing, too, is, like, he's going to be a dictator on day one.
People legitimately believe that. Like, people legitimately believe that he is going to set up the system so that he can stay president for the rest of his life.
Which is not going to be very long to begin with. But
no,
it's not.
It's not going to happen. No, it's not going to happen. And that's ridiculous that you would think that. The thing that I've known this, I've always known this because of the way my mom taught me. She told me there was always a spin on something. There is always more of a story. And I've learned that, I mean, every time something major happens, like this week with the LA fires, there's stuff. Like, yeah, they cut the firefighter budget, but they also received like way more money last year in grants than was expected or anticipated, and that's not factored into the firefighter budget. And
have you heard the random claim now that I guess it's troll baiting because it's hilarious, and not, I don't think it's true from what I've understood, but like there's people posting that Mexico sent a bunch of fire trucks.
Oh yeah,
and they got stuck at the border because of California's emission policies.
Wait, I heard that about Oregon.
Oregon too, yeah. And I actually, at first I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
But I'm like, wait, no.
Well, they needed to smog check them. That's what they were doing. I looked it up because I called my grandma she called me and I answered because we were going to drop off donations at the fire station, and she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, we're at the fire station dropping stuff off. And there was a long pause. And then she went, did you know that they sent 10 fire trucks from Oregon down to California and they won't let them through? And I was like, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to smog check the trucks.
I think they are. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, listen, I think we can both agree. Smog checking the trucks while there's a literal city burning down, the smog is the least of our worries.
Yeah, and I honestly, I haven't even looked into it.
Yeah.
But I did see a headline about how they were smog checking trucks that were coming in, and I was like, oh, that's probably what Grandma was talking about.
Yeah. But it's stupid if they did, but whatever. I mean,
but there's always something. Yeah. You know, there's the big splash headline, and then you have to actually go read what happened.
Yeah, I mean, we can go back to Trump's golden escalator speech, where he talked about how Mexico isn't sending their best, and he talks about how they're sending criminals.
They definitely sent their best this week.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah,
oh
and that's clearly not what he was talking about. But
your response to that reel that I sent you was really funny, by the way.
Which reel?
When I sent you the reel about Mexico sending the firefighters, you just responded with "Primo."
My cousin's coming in clutch. But like Trump, that comment was, Mexico's not saying their best.
Oh.
And then it ended with saying they're rapists, and people turned it into him saying that Mexicans are rapists. And it's like, no, like context clues, people. Like he's talking about the illegal, like a lot of the criminals are coming into this country through that. Like people want to pretend that that's not a thing, but it is. But I'm getting on a rant now. This is not the show for that. The point of that was saying that like it was a misrepresentation of the quote.
Yeah.
And it happens all the time. And people did it about Hillary. Like literally the 2016 election. I watched so many of Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton speeches that it made me sick. But because I was sick and tired of people taking a sensationalized quote.
Sensationalized?
What did I say?
Sensationalized.
I think I just had a stroke.
I don't know.
A sensationalized quote.
You got it.
And making it into this huge thing. And then when you go and listen to the speech, you realize, oh, they said this in context with this, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it, but it makes sense. Or they said this because this I do agree with it, but it's not what they think it is.
Yeah.
All that to say, again, there's life after Trump. January 2020. January 20th.
January 20th. That was a bad time.
Yeah. January wasn't too bad. Well, I guess January.
We lost Kobe.
Rip.
Yeah.
Moment of silence.
Another one?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Anyway, any final thoughts on life after Trump? Because I think people really quickly, to put a button on what I'm trying to say here, is that if you cut people off that you care about based off their political thought process and beliefs and the way they voted, you're going to regret it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to wake up one day and you're going to realize you lost a really good friend.
Yeah.
Over something stupid and temporary.
Yeah.
And now you're not part of their kid's life. You're not part of their wedding. You're not part of whatever they're building in their life, and vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell Brad this all the time, and Brad definitely has different strong opinions about my philosophy that you shouldn't let people go. And again, I need to clarify, if you have someone in your life who is abusive, who is being horrible to you for no reason, who is just completely belligerent, will not listen, you are not you are not required to hold that person's hand and guide them to the truth. If there is someone in your life who is verbally, emotionally abusive, if there's someone who is an alcoholic, a drug addict, like someone like that, you are not required to sit down and have the hard conversations with them 24/7.
Yeah.
I do think that there is a space for people to be in your life at arm's length. And I have someone personally who I'm thinking of that I've kind of said, you know, I care about you and you matter to me, but you've changed so much. I'm going to keep this at arm's length now. Yes.
We are about arm's length.
Yeah. No, but like,
you touched my hand.
I'm sorry.
Where's my hand sanitizer?
My hand's clean.
I had hand sanitizer
I
here.
think there's a space for different relationships in your life, but I do need to point out, no, you are not required to keep people in your life if they're being damaging to you. But I also think that we elevate the actual impact that people have.
I think there's a key thing that when you look at here is, would you have lunch with this person like not knowing who they voted for, would you go to lunch with this person on a regular basis?
Yeah.
Would you pick up their phone call at 1 a.m. saying they need a ride because they're too drunk to drive home? Like, would you drive them to the airport not knowing who they voted for? And if the answer is yes to all those things, but the only thing that changes is who they voted for, that's a bigger issue. Yeah. Because, and again, like you said, there are definitely exceptions to, like, if somebody is verbally abusing you based off of what you believe, yes, cut them off. You don't need that energy.
If someone is legitimately challenging your right to live or your right to exist or your right to enjoy your life, then no, you're not required to talk to them. I do think that in some cases, people having a different opinion does not mean that they're challenging your right to live. And I think that a big part of why people believe that now is because of what the media has done to our brain and the polarization of the whole black and white thing. Yeah. Like I think that you can have an opinion on something and also not have it mean that you want someone to die.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I can vote for better tax policies and, you know, secure borders and not be voting to literally kill you.
Yeah. Yeah, and so much of this too, I saw after Kamala lost and people were saying, well, everybody hates women. And it's like, no,
she wasn't the one, sis.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's like, if we're going to get upset about people winning because they're old white men, we also should be upset about people winning because they are young black females. Because
is she young?
She younger.
Yeah, I think she's 60.
That's young for politics, honestly.
At this point, yeah. I mean, considering the last two presidents we've had have been
honestly
above 70.
Geriatric, yeah. No, but the thing is, if we're gonna get mad about Elizabeth Warren trying to call herself a Native American and win based on that, and then turn around and be like, oh, but you're fantastic because you are a different race, and I want to vote for you because you're a different race, or because you're a different gender, or because of this, or because of that, then we are limiting the actual mental strength that people can have despite what color they are. And I think that we've gone so far into what is admittedly a beautiful thing of race and culture and appreciating people's differences and trying to understand people's differences. I think we've gone with politics too far into that, and saying that you can't understand what I'm going through unless you're this color. Yeah. Because I think we're limiting the mental power that people have and the empathy that people have. And I don't think that Kamala would have been very different from Hillary. If either one of them had been elected, I think that they would have pretty much done the same thing.
Well, she's taller.
Well, no, that's not what your heightest.
Yes.
No, but I think that they would have had...
You must be this tall to run the country.
They would have had similar policies, and Kamala and AOC have similar policies. And Kamala, all of these people have the same policies. I want to vote based on policy, not based on skin color. And yes, I think it would have been amazing if we had had a woman of color as our first female president. That would have been really cool. But it also would have been cool to have a smart woman as our president. And that's what I care about. It would have been cool to have a smart person as our president, honestly. You know what I think? Have I told you my theory on how I want the president election to be run? I want it to be like a Love is Blind TV show. Like, you don't see the president, you don't know their face, you don't even hear their voice. You just get a list of the policies, and then you go into a voting booth and you go, I like that one, I don't like that one, and then you vote on that. The
masked president.
Yes, it's the masked president.
We have to produce this!
Which is ironic, considering Rudy Giuliani was on The Masked Singer.
Oh my God, that's true. That is true. Well, the last thing on the list of things to talk about is can we as a country heal? And more importantly, after Trump. And I say that because
I don't know.
It's one of those things where I think the extremes on both sides need to calm down.
You need to calm down.
They're being too loud.
You're being too loud.
I never thought I'd ever drop a Taylor Swift reference on a podcast.
Don't drop Taylor Swift.
Well, even if I did, she'd land on her feet because she's like 6'7".
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but she's definitely tall.
She is amazing. I will fight you.
Yeah.
I will literally fight you.
Yeah.
Let's take this outside.
You can go outside if you want. It's fine. It's cold. My honest answer is I hope so. I really hope that people can see past blue or red and come back as a country, because Trump is, I was gonna say a once in a lifetime phenomenon, but really a twice in a lifetime phenomenon. I don't think we're ever gonna see it again in our lifetime. I think Trump. Well, like a Trump style.
No, I don't think we will. Yeah.
Unless Jeff Bezos decides to come into like politics, but even then, like that's still not going to be Trump-esque.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see another Trump-like figure. However, I don't think that we'll be able to recover and become friendly and become one nation again without both sides saying, hey, you know what, we said and did some stupid shit.
Yeah. We
need to come back to the center here. And just for the sake of just being in states like California where, there's a lot of blue, but there's also a lot of red.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we need each other more than we need politicians.
Well, and I see so much of this modeled weirdly in my marriage. Like, I've compared the arguments that Brad and I have to, like, the political stances that people have and the way people feel about each other. When Brad and I get in a fight, we have to be able to be vulnerable and honest with each other, and we have to be able to respect each other and show each other love despite when we disagree on something. We had an argument just the other night that went super south because it was late. Neither of us were functioning on a lot of sleep, and we both put up walls and just started to get angry at each other. And I feel like that's what this country does. Nobody cares. Like, people care more about their political ideology than the person that's standing right in front of them. Yeah. And we forget because we're so busy behind all of our little screens and behind all of our walls and not talking to our neighbors and not talking to people in real life and listening to our podcasts and listening to our music.
Hey.
And but we get so busy with that we literally, like, go onto a subway in New York now. No one is talking to each other. You go through the grocery store and you do self-checkout so you don't have to talk to a cashier. And we forget that the people who believe in these things are actual people with lives and goals and dreams and hurts and loves. And it's so much easier to understand why someone believes what they believe when you remember that they're a whole person. They don't just exist in this world that you live in.
Yeah.
Like, they exist in their own world. You exist in your own world. You have your own reasons for believing what you believe. They also have their own reasons for believing what they believe. And maybe some of their reasons are wrong, but they have those reasons. And like I learned in counseling with my ex years and years ago, just because your feelings
a
are...
guy you used to date.
Okay, whatever. Just because your feeling may be misplaced, or it may be an emotion that you're having in response to something that didn't actually happen, doesn't mean that that feeling isn't valid. And it's the same with politics. Like, yeah, the person who lives in El Paso may have a different belief than you on immigration and border protection. That's probably because they live on the border. And the person who lives in California in the middle of LA is going to have a different opinion on healthcare than the person who lives in Florida, than the person who lives in South Dakota, than the person who lives in Indiana, which
South Dakota isn't a real place.
It is a real place.
No, it's not.
You know what's also a real place is Indiana. I forget that that's not just a place that exists in Little House on the Prairie.
Okay, actual last thing here.
Yes.
Do you think Biden voted for Trump?
I think that maybe he did out of spite.
Did you see the way Jill Biden was looking at Trump at one of the events recently?
No.
She was looking at him like, "Daddy, please, can I have a piece of that?"
That's gross. No.
With that, all I say is over the next couple of days, especially as Trump is being reinaugurated and he begins to roll out executive orders, is just take a breath.
Yeah.
Take a breath. And I promise you that if Trump does something that is truly egregious, I will be there next to you protesting and fighting it.
I love protesting. Can I come?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so good at holding signs.
Last time you held a sign, it was upside down.
No. That was at a Pop Gun show. That doesn't count.
Well, my name is Ruben Jay.
And I'm Moxy Ann.
And we have gone way too far over on this episode, but make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, both Multimedia Mouth and You're My Best Friend. Hit that notification bell because we have some stuff coming out and we're doing things.
We
and
do.
If you don't click that button, Moxy will cry on the airplane as she heads over to spend some time with the baby named Paul.
I'll probably do that anyway, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not as much as Paul will cry for absolutely no reason because he is a baby.
That's a mean thing to say about Paul.
He's a baby.
He is not a baby.
He's turning 1 in 2 days.
Oh, happy birthday, Paul. Bye.
Bye.